Hey guys, this is Illusion Podfics, and we're going to be reading Take Your Child to Work Day by I_color. The summary is Be man, Peter started, staring in poorly concealed horror at the flimsy handcuff Bruce just slapped over his wrist. Never mind the fact that a stick could break them, let alone Peter's super strength. You're going to meet the Justice League, and you're going to like it, Bruce replied cheerfully. Now, this is a one-shot, but without further ado, let's hop in. Hope you enjoy. It's Take Your Child to Work Day for the Justice League. Bruce hasn't participated in years. This year, however, Bruce is very excited to take his child to work. Said child, Peter Parker Wayne, aged 18, is incredibly less impressed with his adoptive father. Be man, Peter started, staring in poorly concealed horror at the flimsy handcuffs Bruce just slapped over his wrist. Never mind the fact that a stick could break them, let alone Peter's super strength. You're going to meet the Justice League, and you're going to like it, Bruce replied cheerfully. He was dressed in a less armed version of his batsuit, so as not to scare the littles that were attending as well. This also meant there were less weapons that Peter could use against him in his inevitable escape attempts. Not that Peter needed any weapons to escape. Peter, on the other hand, had chosen to present as a normal civilian. Not what Bruce had entirely expected, but he also saw Peter slipping his lightsaber in his pocket and had elected to ignore that. Peter was wearing his signature yellow sweatshirt, a pair of jeans, and his yellow high tops. If anything, he looked like a fan of the signal. There was nothing about him that indicated that Peter Parker was anything but a civilian, minus the concealed lightsaber and the handcuffs clasped over one wrist. The other cuff was attached to Bruce's wrist, to Peter's disappointment. There wasn't much Bruce could do to embarrass Peter. He wasn't sure if that was a good or a bad thing, but Peter was basically an unofficial Avenger at this point. Though Bruce hadn't met most of Peter's teammates, he had heard horror stories about their dramatics and knew instantly that Peter had to meet the Justice League, whether he wanted to or not. Things were getting too chummy around the watchtower. Diana hovered near the Zeta, shamelessly waiting for new arrivals. Already, she heard the crash of something getting knocked over by a child. She would have gone over to help if she hadn't heard Barry calling that he'd get it, and the Zeta didn't light up at the same time. Diana eagerly glanced up, waiting for the screen to announce Batman 1. Oh. She didn't know Bruce was attending this year. Guest pass, B1. Even better, Bruce brought one of his children. She asked unintelligently, once Batman and his +1 stepped out of the Zeta. Batman, why is there a teenager handcuffed to your arm? He's holding me hostage, the teen replied without missing a beat. Nice to meet you, Miss Wonder Woman. I'm Peter Parker. He raised up his right hand, the one handcuffed to Bruce's arm, for her to shake. Bemused, Diana did so, watching in mild fascination as Bruce simply let his arm follow the hand-shaking motion. Come, Peter. I need you to meet someone, Bruce said, dragging the teen along. What if we went home instead? Peter answered, half-heartedly tugging at the little handcuff attached to his wrist. After her brain restarted, Diana was sure Peter Parker would prove great entertainment. Bruce was having a hard time not visibly smiling at Peter's obvious indifference to the watchtower. Peter had tried to escape within 10 minutes, though 10 minutes was more restraint than Bruce thought he possessed. The handcuffs had broken on the first try, though Peter didn't actually mean to break them by the quietly muttered, "Oh no," he heard. Peter, kiddo, was that the handcuffs? Bruce asked nicely. Peter turned and looked him dead in the eyes. I don't know what you're talking about, B. Behind them, someone choked very quietly. Peter continued his escape attempts no less than 3 times after that. Barry could not understand what seemed to be Bruce's only civilian child's complete indifference to the watchtower. Though Peter was polite and shook his hand when Bruce introduced the two, he regarded the entire building with general disinterest. So, Peter, why are you handcuffed to Batman? Barry asked oh so casually. Peter shrugged, Bruce's arm limply following the motion. He tends to wander, Bruce responded. If Bruce wasn't the literal Batman, Barry would think his tone was joking. It's actually because he kidnapped me, Peter added after an awkward beat of silence. That's right. Peter's my hostage, Bruce nodded sagely. Barry slowly walked away, choosing his sanity over Bruce and his weird-ass child. Though Bruce was hoping the next person Peter got to meet was Clark, they ran into Hal instead. Green Lantern, Batman acknowledged stiffly. Hal looked up surprised. Oh, hey Spooky, the man greeted around his milkshake. Didn't know you were coming today. Bruce did not like the gleam in Peter's eyes. Hal Jordan! Peter chirped, tugging Bruce forward as he greeted the other man. I'm Peter Parker. Hal raised an eyebrow at one of Bruce's children being nice to him and regarded Peter's extended hand with suspicion. My brother gave me Green Lantern socks, Peter added, smiling wide when Hal shook his hand. Bruce was still stuck on the fact that one of his sons gave his other son Green Lantern merch. Pete, what do you mean your brother gave you Green Lantern merchandise? Peter only smiled. Hal was both incredibly amused by the enthusiastic greeting he was getting by Bruce's child and incredibly confused at the escape attempts said child kept attempting. Within 5 minutes, Peter had broken 3 pairs of handcuffs while Bruce was talking to some other leaguers. As he tried to walk away, each time, without fail, Bruce would pull out another pair of what seemed to be children's toys, handcuffs, and slap them back on Peter's wrist. Peter was like a very determined cat. Hal admired him greatly for it. He didn't have any children to bring himself, so he technically didn't have to be there. He wasn't going to lie. Hal forgot it was Take Your Child to Work Day for the JLA today. But he was too invested in whatever was going on with Peter to leave now. Peter, if you try to escape again, at the very least, get creative, Bruce asked Peter. Hal thought that was the moment everything went downhill, but he was too busy dodging shattered pieces of handcuffs. Peter's feral grin was the last thing Hal saw before the team disappeared. Bruce had an unmistakable, proud dad grin trademark. Hal took the next opportunity to leave the watchtower. Bruce was not subtle in his eagerness for Peter to meet Clark Kent, partially because he knew Peter already had his own blue-eyed Good Samaritan that the teen much preferred, and partially because he knew Peter could do what none of his other children could do, create chaos while still managing his civilian identity. Of course, it did work in Peter's favor that it wasn't well known that Gotham billionaire Bruce Wayne had adopted a twice-orphaned teenager from New York City. He also had little details about him online and 0 social media. The largest collection of information about Peter Parker Wayne on the web was on his website, where he showed his inventions. One invention being the lightsaber he and one of Bruce's other sons, Tim, created. See? Peter was a genius. Nothing pointed him to being a new Gotham vigilante, especially since Peter had long been a New York vigilante before Bruce even knew he existed. When Peter was adopted, no new vigilante arose in Gotham, which definitely helped his civilian appearance. No, Bruce was not encouraging his children to lie to his coworkers. Yes, he absolutely was. Of course, first Bruce had to actually find Peter to introduce him to Clark, which was proving rather difficult. Hey, Batman! I didn't think I'd see you today. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Hi, Superman. Have you seen anyone wearing a bright yellow hoodie by any chance? Bruce asked, glancing around the room they were in. Clark looked confused as he watched Bruce check the ceilings, too. I can't say I have. Did you, bring someone along today? Yes. I'm looking for him to introduce you to. I think you'll get along great. Bruce was lying through his teeth right now, but Clark didn't need to know that. Uh-huh. Clark didn't sound like he believed Bruce. Good. He shouldn't. So, why are you looking for him on the ceiling? Peter's rather creative when it comes to escaping, Bruce said, maybe stretching it the truth a little. They didn't need to know Peter was a meta or enhanced, as Peter tried to explain. Escaping. Yeah, he tends to do that. I ran out of handcuffs a while ago. Handcuffs? Wow, Bruce didn't know Clark's voice could reach that pitch. Huh, must be a Kryptonian thing. Oh, he must be near. I think I hear him. Bruce changed the subject, marching in a new direction towards the unmistakable sound of a lightsaber being turned on. Peter must be in the training simulator. Bruce would actually murder him. No killing rule be damned if Clark started beef with his child. When Clark was first introduced to Peter, the teen visibly sized him up before turning to Bruce. I could take him, Peter stated, dead serious. You're not going to do that. The fact that Bruce didn't instantly deny the fact made Clark suddenly very, very nervous. I could, though, the teen insisted. If Clark looked close enough, Bruce almost seemed amused. You're not going to. I'd rather you not try, Clark interjected awkwardly. Not with so many children around, you know. Yeah, okay, Peter said unconvincingly before sticking out a hand. I'm Peter Parker. You're Clark Kent. I would say it's nice to meet you, but it's not. Clark briefly flickered his eyes up to Bruce's face, a mixture of horror and glee. He hoped he never saw that expression on Bruce's face again, since it, quite frankly, gave him the creeps. What do you mean by that? Clark sputtered. What are your intentions with my father? Peter asked while Bruce quietly laughed behind them. To fight crime together? Stop evil? Clark wouldn't lie. He had no idea what Peter was talking about. Is that a euphemism? Peter questioned, looking vaguely bored. Euphemism? Clark felt, and no doubt looked, incredibly bewildered. Peter? Bruce's tone had a warning note to it. Clark knew he was fucked when Peter turned the biggest puppy eyes to Bruce, and the bastard caved to them. Don't harm him, Bruce instructed. Clark felt the urge to flee the watchtower and never come back. Alright, and that is the end of Take Your Child to Work Day by I_color. I hope you guys liked this one. I found it a little bit funny. I want to find more like this because it's just like, I don't know, very like fluff, crack, funny, all the things. So if you have any more like this that you want me to read and everything, make sure to let me know. But yeah, have a good day.